The identity crisis of success. Who are you when no one is clapping? You worked for this. You sacrificed for this. You stayed up late, pushed through exhaustion, ignored your own needs, and told yourself that once you finally arrived, once you got the title, the degree, the business, the recognition, the financial breakthrough, everything inside you would finally settle. You believed the finish line would feel like peace. You believed success would feel like home. But instead, something unsettling happened. You arrived and felt strangely empty. The applause came, but the fulfillment didn't. The milestone happened, but the relief never landed. And now you are quietly asking a question you never expected to ask. Why doesn't this feel better? This is the identity crisis of success. No one talks enough about what happens after achievement. Society teaches us how to chase goals, but not how to emotionally survive them. We are trained to believe that success is the answer to our discomfort, that the next promotion will settle our insecurity, that the next financial milestone will silence our anxiety, that external validation will finally produce internal peace. But success has a strange way of exposing what striving was hiding. For years, your movement kept you distracted. Your ambition gave you direction, your goals gave you meaning, your calendar gave you structure. Your productivity gave you identity. As long as there was something to chase, you did not have to ask deeper questions about who you actually were. The hustle protected you from stillness. The next target protected you from introspection. Achievement became more than a pursuit. It became your personality. And that is where the problem begins. Many people do not build a life. They build a resume. They build external evidence of value: degrees, promotions, titles, followers, bank accounts, status symbols, accomplishments. They stack proof that they matter. But beneath that carefully curated structure is often a terrifying silence, a person who does not know who they are when the performance ends. What happens when nobody needs your expertise? What happens when there is no deadline? What happens when your email is quiet? What happens when the applause fades? Who are you when no one is watching? That question makes many people deeply uncomfortable, because for many high achievers, identity has become outsourced. Their sense of self lives in metrics. If the numbers go up, they feel worthy. If the numbers go down, they feel diminished. Their emotional state rises and falls with performance reviews, social engagement, income reports, and external praise. They are not living from identity, they are negotiating with it. This is exhausting and dangerous, because when your worth becomes conditional, peace becomes impossible. You can never rest when your value feels like a moving target. This is why so many successful people secretly feel anxious. They are not afraid of failure. They are afraid of becoming irrelevant. They are afraid of becoming invisible. They are afraid of losing the very thing they built their identity on. If your worth depends on what you produce, then rest feels threatening. If your identity depends on what you accomplish, then stillness feels like disappearance. If your value depends on external validation, then silence feels like death. This is the high-performance trap. The world celebrates your productivity because it benefits from it, but your nervous system eventually pays the bill. You can only outrun yourself for so long. Eventually, success slows down enough for your inner life to catch up. And when it does, many people experience a strange emotional crash. It often sounds like this: I should feel happier. Why does this feel empty? I worked so hard for this. Why am I not satisfied? What's wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. You are not broken. You are simply discovering that achievement cannot do the emotional work you assigned it. Success was never meant to build your soul. It can reward effort. It can create opportunity. It can provide comfort. But it cannot answer existential questions. It cannot tell you who you are. It cannot tell you what matters. It cannot create inner peace. Only internal work can do that. This is where many people panic, because when achievement stops distracting you, you begin meeting yourself. And often you realize you do not know yourself very well. You know your capabilities. You know your resume. You know your responsibilities. You know your performance. But do you know your values? Do you know what brings you joy outside of productivity? Do you know what calms your nervous system? Do you know what makes you feel alive? Do you know what matters to you when nobody else is involved? Many people do not. They have become so externally fluent that they are internally disconnected. They know how to succeed publicly, but feel lost privately. This creates what psychologists often call an internal vacuum, a hollow center. From the outside, life looks impressive. From the inside, it feels oddly thin. This is why some people sabotage success, not because they do not want it, but because once they get it, they must face themselves. And that can feel more frightening than failure. Failure gives you something to fix. Success gives you silence, and silence asks deeper questions. What if you stopped doing for a moment? What if you stopped proving? What if you stopped performing? Who remains? This is the work of deconstructing the performance self. The performance self is the version of you built for approval. It knows how to impress. It knows how to achieve. It knows how to adapt. It knows how to produce. But it often does not know how to rest. It does not know how to receive love without earning it. It does not know how to exist without usefulness. It believes worth must be justified. That is why many successful people struggle deeply with unstructured time. A free afternoon feels uncomfortable. A quiet weekend feels wasteful. Doing nothing feels irresponsible. Because they have been conditioned to believe that being valuable requires being productive. But this is a lie. Your worth is not a reward. It is not earned. It is not granted by performance. It is not dependent on output. It is baseline. You had worth before your first accomplishment, before your first paycheck, before your first degree, before anyone applauded you. And that means you still have worth when none of those things are present. This realization is deeply liberating, but also unsettling, because it requires mourning. You must grieve the identity you built around achievement. You must let go of the belief that accomplishment is the source of your value. You must release the addiction to external applause. That grief matters. Because for many people, achievement was never just ambition. It was protection. It protected them from shame. It protected them from feeling not enough. It protected them from rejection. It gave them a sense of control. Letting go of that identity can feel vulnerable, like taking off armor, but healing requires it. So how do you begin? Start with intentional stillness, not productivity disguised as self-care, not optimized rest, actual stillness. Sit without a goal, walk without a podcast, eat without a screen, rest without earning it. This will feel uncomfortable. That discomfort is data. It reveals how deeply your nervous system associates worth with output. Stay there. Let yourself notice the urge to perform. Do not obey it immediately. Practice what I call unproductive being. Give yourself permission to exist without generating value. This is revolutionary. Then ask better questions. Not, what should I accomplish next? Ask, what do I deeply care about? Not, what will impress people? Ask what feels true to me, not what adds to my image. Ask what nourishes my soul. Begin rebuilding identity around character, not performance. What qualities matter to you? Kindness, integrity, curiosity, presence, compassion, courage, humility, patience. These cannot be taken away by layoffs. They cannot disappear in economic downturns. They cannot be lost with status. They are internal assets. They create stable identity, then reconnect with joy. Achievement often disconnects us from simple joy because everything becomes transactional. Ask yourself, what did I love before it needed to be useful? What made me feel alive before it became productive? Music, art, nature, writing, movement, conversation? Return there. Joy rebuilds the self. And finally, practice being seen without performing. Let people know you beyond your accomplishments. Share uncertainty, share vulnerability, share ordinary parts of yourself. Allow connection that is not based on usefulness. That is where real belonging begins. Because being admired is not the same as being known. And being known is what heals identity. At the heart of this conversation is a simple truth. You are not your job. You are not your title. You are not your bank account. You are not your resume. You are not your followers. You are not your productivity. You are not your success story. Those are things you do. They are not who you are. Who you are is deeper, quieter, more enduring. It exists when the office closes. It exists when the audience leaves. It exists when the world goes silent. And that is the self-worth meeting. That is the self-worth building. That is the self-worth protecting. This is what Mindcare's self-care means. It means refusing to let achievement become your identity. It means remembering that your internal life matters more than your external image. It means protecting your peace from performance addiction. It means valuing your humanity above your output. It means learning how to be, not just how to do. So today, pause. Stop chasing for a moment. Let the applause fade. Sit in the silence and ask yourself honestly, if the world stopped clapping tomorrow, would I still know who I am? If the answer feels unclear, that is not failure. That is your invitation. An invitation to rebuild from the inside. An invitation to become rooted instead of impressive. An invitation to reclaim a core identity no achievement can create and no loss can destroy. Because your greatest success may not be what you accomplish next. It may be learning how to feel whole without needing to prove anything at all. Mindcare is self-care. Protect your peace. Build your inner life. And remember, your value is not something you earn. It is something you remember.